If you do believe that, what strategies are you considering to address that? You can start.
I think that the short and simple answer is yes. That the driving factor in the city is development, and it is not development that is serving DC residents, and that we see, unfortunately, time and again, that developers are getting their way with the mayor and with the DC council and with the proposed comp plan, and it's a step in the wrong direction. So I mentioned in my opening comments that last fall the council passed an $80 million subsidy for developers at Union Market and didn't ask them to do anything in return. And even though there was community pushback, they went ahead and moved that forward. To me, that is too much developer power. That is moving too much in the direction of developers.
Yeah.
If we have a mayor who's negotiating behind closed doors with Amazon, potentially going to give them billions and billions of dollars,
right,
and as far as we know, not ask for anything in return, even though it's no guarantee of good jobs for DC residents, likely impact on gentrification and transportation and all sorts of other issues, we need to demand that if we're going to have any corporation come to the city, certainly, number one, my goal is we just don't need subsidies, period. I don't think we need to be subsidizing the wealthiest corporations in the world.
Right.
But certainly, if they're going to come here, their obligation is to make sure that they are serving our community well. And so I do want to make sure that we are doing a lot more to hold Amazon accountable. I call, as a candidate, I think it would be important for the council to hold a hearing on Amazon. Most council members have said that the council should hold a hearing on Amazon. My opponent has not done that, so we're still in the dark. And I know, because I've seen this time and time again, that if we wait for the mayor to negotiate behind closed doors and then come out with something, it's going to be bad, but it'll go to the council, and the council will have a hard time saying no, because any council member votes no, it's like, oh, you're the one who sent Amazon away from the city. And so that's why the community needs to be engaged early on in any major development deal, whether it's through the zoning process or things like Amazon.
Okay, thank you. So, same question, Phil.
Yes, I think that developers have outsized influence in the process, whether we're talking about financial favors from the government or in the zoning process. And if you think about it, it's because they have the money to hire the attorneys and the lobbyists. It's because they're the applicant who presents the case before the Zoning Commission or the Historic Preservation Review Board. So they just start out with getting some deference, and it works against the community often. Over the years, how do I want to say this? I do think there's some things that we can try that would help to change that. One of them is that, and I had a conversation yesterday with Rebecca Miller from the Historic Preservation Review Board, while the Zoning Commission has an attorney that gives it advice, the Historic Preservation Review Board does not. So when there is any legal objection by a developer's representative, there's nobody to give independent advice to the HPRB. So that just speaks to with regard to historic preservation. I think we ought to look at other ways to increase the independence of the Zoning Commission and the Board of Zoning Adjustment so that they're less reliant on the Office of Planning and less reliant on developer attorneys. I'm a strong believer in community input, and that's why my reaction to the comprehensive plan was to empower the community by having a hearing. And I didn't say this before, but there are a lot of folks who complained that the Office of Planning had said, we will not submit anything to the council until we've given the community 60 days. And folks were pretty ticked off that that didn't happen. And I get that. The Office of Planning handled it very badly. But I've made sure that the community's had more than 60 days, a lot more than 60 days. And I'm telling you that, the recess is coming up, and there's going to be time for more comments, and I'm going to reach out to folks. So in that way, I believe in empowering the community to enable them to be able to comment when matters are before the council. Now, it's kind of easy to take pot shots at Amazon, but the fact of the matter is I'm not aware of there being any benefits being offered to Amazon that are not already in the law. And I think it's very risky if the mayor promised anything in secret, because she would have promised something in secret to which Amazon will say yes, to which the council has not said yes. and it would have to come to the council for amendments to the law. There are some provisions that were written into the law about 15 years ago that do provide some benefits to Amazon. But I'm mindful of the fact, and so that's available to anybody, but I'm mindful of the fact that the value of having businesses located in the district is that there's economic activity and therefore revenues to the government. When we give those revenues away, we're getting nothing. We get the expense, but we're not getting any revenue to offset that expense. So it's not a good deal. And I have talked to colleagues about whether there would be a hearing on Amazon. But I can, if you think about it, the mayor's not going to say anything more to the council at a hearing than she's already said publicly. We'll see what happens. And as I said, I would be shocked if there were some benefits that had been promised in secret, because that's a very risky way of going about doing business with business community.